they said, can you help us with our SEO? And he was like, no, because your SEO is so bad.
The amount of people that are writing AI-generated content about the use of AI so that people's AI-generated assistants can put a thumbs up on it. I mean, what have we come to? What is happening?
By the way, every time I fill in one of these ADHD things online, it crashes. Like
Agency Hackers Podcast.
Hey guys, it's Ian from Agency Hackers, and I'm here with Becky.
Hi.
What we talked about today, let me tell you what's on the show. So we talked about what's happening in the agency world. There's a lot of gossip, what's going on in the WhatsApp group, which you won't have access to if you're not part of Agency Hackers, but some of the interesting stuff in there. What else did we talk about? We talked about AI and the agency's troubles with it.
I mean, yeah, we've talked about AI. We've talked about neurodiversity in the agency scene and our own journeys.
Yeah, but not in a boring way.
No, not in a boring way.
Or a kind of like soppy way. It's kind of quite an interesting way. I thought that was quite good. And we also talked about, we roasted some of our favourite LinkedIn posts. So yeah, I hope you like it. We've got to be quick because you're off to a pitch, haven't you? You got a pitch.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that a little bit?
We can a little bit, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't want to tell you all the ins and outs, but I can absolutely talk a bit about it.
Well, I won't ask who it's with because they might get funny. But how do you feel? Like, because you've been in the business. I was going to say in the game. You've been in the game for a long time. Do you still get nervous going into a pitch?
I do, but I think that's I love doing the pitch side of things, and I miss the face-to-face stuff. So actually, I mean, this is my second pitch of the year already, and we're only 4 weeks into the year, which is great. But I remember when COVID hit, and we had to do, and then it became the norm to do virtual pitches on Teams, and that was,
no one's got the camera on.
Oh, that used to absolutely kill me. So I'm really happy to see that face-to-face pitches are coming back. Because it's something you just can't beat about it. Like from the theatre of the pitch, of like how you set it up to, I had a boss once who used to talk about using psychology with drinks and things. So on the lift on the way up, if you like ask somebody to hold your coffee whilst you do up your shoes, and then there's something to do with, then they associate you with warmth and comfort straight off the bat, and it's just like all of these like clever little things. There's a really great book. I think it's literally called Pitch. And it talks about like the art of the pitch and the theatre that sits behind it, and but you can't do what they used to do in the old school, where it would be like all of it was just a massive bit of theatre. Or the guy who made like Network Rail wait outside in the waiting room for ages or something. Have you heard that? People
love those stories, don't they? Like Saatchi and Saatchi, they had I read a book on them, and they apparently would own a taxi firm. So when the clients had left, like if the pitch was at their office, they would put the client in the taxi, and then obviously the client would be, saying how shit Saatchi and Saatchi done, and they would get that info, and so the next thing would be to ring up the client and go, I can't believe this, we actually presented you the wrong work, like could you come back the next day? So if it had gone badly,
that's brilliant.
Yeah, but I love all that stuff. Like there's another one where you're supposed to go to the loo, but like warm your hands in the dryer. So when you shake the hand, your hand is warm.
Yeah, so it's a bit like that coffee trick as well. It's like, you go in with a takeaway coffee and you go, so do you mind holding that for me for 2 seconds? Because also as well, then you kind of put them into that thing of like, oh, I'm useful and I'm helpful. And also, oh, they're a warm person. I don't know, it's just a really weird, like, it's so funny. We are just, I mean, en masse, we're just like, we're so easily swayed. I mean, I'm a salesperson who loves to be sold to, so like, I absolutely love it. And I'm so easily swayed. Every trick there is in the book, I'll fall for it, hook, line and sinker.
Yeah,
love it.
Like being very nice, being overly nice to the receptionist, because we all know like they, the kind of stories about them being the boss is sitting on reception, you don't know it's the boss.
Or even you've seen more and more of those people who put the post of like, I was late. I was late to an interview, and I let an old man sit down on the tube, and then when I got to my interview, that old man was the boss. And it's like the moral of the story has always been nice to everyone, because you never know where it might lead you, and it's like brilliant. I'm sure that happened.
Yeah, well, good luck with that. I was going to show you. Have you seen? Have you been looking at the Agency Hackers WhatsApp group recently?
Yeah. I mean, I'm in a couple of the Hackers ones. So I'm in the Ibiza one, and I'm in the main one as well.
In the main one, did you see this from Christian the other day?
Yes, I did see this. This is brilliant.
So he's basically just if anyone's not seen it, so he got he had I've got the details here. So he was talking to this company, and they said, "Can you help us with our SEO?" And he was like, "No, because your SEO is so bad." Apparently, like I don't have all the SEO lingo, but they were using this agency that was working with them. They were using dropped domains, and they were in a bad link neighborhood or something. He was like, "Look, this is trash. This is toilet. I can't help you." And then out of nowhere, this this company rings him up, and on the Zoom call or whatever is the other agency, and they're like, "Right, tell us exactly what we're doing wrong." And the other agency pipes up, "We're recording this," like all the AI note takers there, and they said, "We're recording this, and if you say anything slanderous about our agency, we'll sue you in court." So make sure that this is a client you want to win. Like it's I think he was like, "I can't continue this conversation. I'm not I'm not getting paid to be on the call." And like and they're like, no, if you don't have anything to hide, you should stay and tell us. But yeah, that was such a funny post the other day.
It's just a bit mental, really, when you think about it. So I mean, from the client side, the client's probably maybe putting my empath hat on here. The client's probably gone back to their agency and gone, "Well, I've just been told that everything that we've been paying you for the last God knows how long is absolute bog water." And so then the agency goes, "I beg your pardon." And so I kind of get from the client side where the client just goes, "Okay, cool, well, like, but also grow a pair." Like, just if you think that an agency is screwing you over, then like go and do your own research. Don't just get somebody. It reeks of that, like running to tell the teacher, going to dob on someone, and then when the teacher's telling them off, you're stood behind him going, "Yeah." And that's the client. He stood behind us. That's what I think he was hoping for. He was going to get Christian to go and bollock his existing agency, so he could stand behind it, or she could stand behind them and go, "Yeah, what he said."
That'd be so funny. We've had some good stuff on there recently. You've been a bit kind of tame recently, because I think you were on there the other day. "I'm looking for a part-time bookkeeper." That was the kind of
very off-brand for me. Yeah, normally I'm the one putting out surveys like, "Where are we going for drinks next, guys?" Because I am sort of the official social secretary of these WhatsApp groups, so I get it. Well, I think I've just been a bit. January is a weird one. It's very much, you have December where everything feels like time is running away from you. And then you get back to January and you go, "Oh, all of the stuff that I said, we'll pick that up next year, now has to be picked up." So I think January is really boring for me. I don't do dry January. I'm not that boring. But I've been quite tame. I've been a bit of a passenger, a bit of a lurker in these WhatsApp chats recently. Maybe I need to get back in them. I suppose because I don't really have stories that are like as mental as this at the moment. All of my stuff is quite tame in comparison.
Yeah. What's kind of the general? What's the mood you're picking up in agency land? I feel like there's go on, I don't want to influence what you say, but
there's what I've seen, because your girl gets around. What I've seen is a lot of agencies are talking about they're feeling a bit stuck with, not stuck. They feel a little bit like their team, and you know what, we touched on it before. Where team members aren't necessarily ready to step up into the next phase of growth. So you've got like these amazing teams that have got people to a certain point, but the people that get you from one to the next aren't necessarily the ones that get you from this to that. But I suppose that's a positive indication that a lot of agencies are focusing on growth right now, which is great. If you think back last year, saw a lot of agencies close their doors. Already in January, we've seen loads of people talking about like growth and what's holding them back and what they need to do to double down to get bigger and better opportunities. So even if it's not necessarily completely true and maybe some people are just being overly optimistic, I'd say the general vibe seems to be a hopey, changey one.
People are like wanting more from their teams. I like that. That's kind of because we do agency board, which and you're part of one of our agency boards.
Yeah.
And, but just if I look at the notes from across all of them, a lot of them come down to basically people wanting high agency employees, and it's difficult to use the word agency because we're called agency hackers, but in a different context, it means that for anyone who missed this day of English, it means like just being self-starter and being motivated and being proactive, and people are worried about like how do you like say you're kind of leading AI at an agency, right? You're in charge of it. What a lot of agency leaders are finding is that something will come out, you know, Nano Banana or Claude Bot or something that just everyone is talking about in that AI community. And they'll say to the person who's running AI, have you heard of Nano Banana, or have you heard of the latest, you know, there's ads in ChatGPT? And they're like, oh, really? That's interesting. And it's like, you're meant to be across this.
Yeah.
And that's such a big thing at the moment.
I think you're right. And I think that, you know, agencies in general, we are expected to be at the forefront of things, and we're kind of expected to be experts and generalists on behalf of the client, because, you know, you've got a client who's, say, head of marketing for a legal company. They are, all they really know, and say they've been there like 15 years, all they really know is their area of marketing in their sector. Whereas so they hire an agency because they want an agency who can adapt to, okay, well, what's going on over here and what's the trend now and where are we following the money and how are we going to do that? So you kind of have to build your team of people who have got that attitude. You've got to have people who are, I mean, I always say who are obsessed with their craft. I mean, it might be a bit strong, but some, you know, if you get into SEO, if you get into AI, if you get into content creation, if you're in client services, whatever your role is, I think agencies nowadays, you can't really afford to have someone who just kind of comes in and goes, right, here's my list of things to do, tick, 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 done. You've got to have that, what they used to call it, the growth mindset, right?
Yeah.
Everyone wants to like...
The mastery, I think I've heard you call it the mastery mindset before.
Yes, exactly. The masters of their craft, I think.
Yeah. Like the people who, you know, would speak at a conference on a topic, or they're not kind of button pushers, and they like stay current in their field. But how do you get people to be like that?
What a brilliant question. And I'm sure if I could answer it, I'd be a wealthy lady. Yeah, I think some of it is, it's just to do with attitude. Anyone can learn a lot of the skills, you know, the hard skills of like, okay, you know, learning how to code or learning like how to do backlinks, or, you know, anyone can kind of learn those bits. It's all down to finding people who have that real, I think you've said it before, that curious mind, somebody who really just goes, they don't just go, okay, I've done my job. They go, okay, what next? And you can see that there are some people, for example, it's like, if you're hiring someone who's a grad, do you just go with someone who's like got a first at university, or do you see, okay, well, actually in their gap year, they started their own podcast, or they, you know, they've gone out of their way to volunteer to do something in their field, and, you know, they've got a real interest about it. They really care about the thing that they're doing. In the same way that, you know, somebody who's a little bit more advanced in their career, you can kind of see that not only have they sort of stayed in their lane and they've not had like a wobbly job line, but everything that they've done outside of that, when you look at their like certificates and achievements, it's like, oh, I went away and I did my own course in AI mastery. I did my own course in NLP, or, you know what I mean? And they've
done stuff.
Yeah, those people, they scream out in a candidate selection process, because you see that it's not just, they don't just care about their job. They care about everything that sits behind it, because they just care about developing themselves. And, you know, the fact is that they've found a career that they can earn money doing a thing that they're already obsessed about, which is great.
Yeah. And the thing I think a lot of agencies that are worried about at the moment is, if you don't have someone like that, if you've got someone in a role who's meant to be leading something, but they're kind of a bit of a thumbsucker, a bit of a plodder. Yeah. If you can't make that person someone who's like always researching and on top of things, and like, what do you do? Because you can't get rid of them for not having high agency. You know, like an example for me of high agency is someone who reads books. So like all the people I kind of admire, they read a lot, and if there's a book, they'll go, oh, I've read that. And if you look at their Kindle library or whatever, it's full of stuff, and they're always on top of things. And I think there's a correlation between like low agency people and just not reading anything or showing curiosity. And but the problem is, if you don't have someone like that, what a lot of agencies are worried about is you can't get rid of them for just not having, you can't go to employment tribunal and say this person didn't show high agency.
Applauding tribunal, did you say?
Applauding.
I thought you said applauding tribunal.
When our party gets in, that should be.
That's it.
We should trademark that. So that's what they're all concerned about.
Definitely.
You can't really, unless you can put that down, it's very difficult to manage someone out. Like if they're really bad, you can get rid of them.
Yeah.
But if they're somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, that's the really difficult thing, isn't it? Because they always just do just enough. Yeah.
The other thing, I got this, I don't know if you've seen, I keep getting this ad on LinkedIn.
What is this?
You probably don't, it's one man empire. Maybe this is not targeted towards you, but it's basically, if you're, the hook is Sackerman scale. And it's really, it's like, get rid of all your employees and just have AI people. And, it's evil.
Yeah.
But it's also quite appealing because 90% of agency hackers is just people problems.
Yeah, I get it, but also as somebody who dabbles with a lot of AI and tries to automate a lot of process, and I get it. Like AI is making efficiencies and is paving the way for, meaning that we can work on the meaningful stuff as leaders and as senior teams. People are doing a lot more now because they can offload a lot of the crap. But the problem is that in the wrong hands, not even in the wrong hands. AI, a lot of the time, I'd say 80% of the stuff isn't really that useful. You have to sort of spend quite a lot of time going back over it, reworking it, redoing it, even when it's for process automation, it's great. And so, yeah, admittedly, you want to get rid of people who are just pushing a button here and there, sure. But actually, anybody with a shred of experience or common sense, I personally have found, as you're trying to build AI into more and more things, I'm spending more and more time correcting the stuff that AI has done than if I'd have just sat back and done it right the first time.
Because I had this thing, because in our business, there's a formula we follow to produce stuff. Like we produce a conference and there's certain ingredients that go into that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of all the same. So I'm like, where can we, the magic ingredient is finding people's stories. That's sort of the coin of the realm, agency hackers, and almost everything after that we can use AI in it. But what I've been worried about recently is we're actually now depending too much on AI, and I'm getting some of it back. And it's this is an email that's going to go out, and it's all. But the quiet truth was, and then there'll be like kind of three bullet points, and it's just. It's just got AI's fingerprints on it.
The other one that is like the biggest AI indicator now is the it's not this, it's this. Have you seen that? So it'll be like, it's not just a podcast, it's a way of life. And they love like every paragraph has got it's not a this, it's a this, as a repositioning thing. So there's that. People have wised up to the M dashes a bit as well. So it's like, and like M dashes and N dashes are slightly different. I don't think that people want to hear my boring opinion on that.
You have to hold that option to
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you have to do something different on this. So if you're doing a dash and a space, that's an N dash. You have to go like the keyboard shortcut to actually do one. So when people go, I use it in my writing all the time, it's like, you don't. You use N dashes, not M dashes. But anyway, that's I know.
Yeah. I bet you put two spaces after a full stop as well, don't you?
I still do. Yeah, I love that. And I'm proud of it. Thank you.
But we had because this came up at one of the agency boards the other day. So someone who runs an agency, they've gone from being worried that no one's using AI and being like, why are we kind of dragging our heels? There's an AI reluctance, to now being worried that there's an over reliance on it.
There is. Oh, this is brilliant, actually. So in the most meta way possible, I clocked this the other week. I don't know did I call you about this? I'm sure I did. But I saw somebody who wrote a post on LinkedIn, obviously with AI, because it had all of the AI fingerprints, as you said. It had the M dashes, it had the bullet points, it had it's not this, it's this. Even the words of and the emojis used were all just so AI. Mm-hmm. And the content of the post was talking about the importance of meaningful, real content in an AI world. So already the irony that was like radiating off the page at me.
Yeah.
So somebody used AI to write a post about how we shouldn't use AI, and then the seasoning and all of this was that every single person that had commented underneath it was obviously using like an engagement bot, like, really interesting article, thanks Toby. And it was like, okay, cool. So we are now just getting to the point. I mean, and LinkedIn, I saw somebody the other day saying if I won the lottery, I would buy LinkedIn and turn it off. Because it's just got to the point where the robots are just speaking to the robots so that they can get engagement for more robots. And it just really struck me in that moment that the amount of people that are writing AI-generated content about the use of AI so that people's AI-generated assistants can put a thumbs up on it. I mean, what have we come to? What is happening?
I think some people actually are starting to write like AI because they're almost, it's gone full circle. And it's so, there's just such a peculiar, like, it feels like a TEDx talk, like a bad TEDx talk.
It is. It's following the patterns. Because, you know, again, to badmouth LinkedIn again, bless it. There are certain formulas, there's certain patterns, and there's certain things that work to game the algorithm. And I think this is the problem. This is why it's so easy for people to use AI, because it's a very formulaic patterns and processes approach of going, if you write a post X length, and then you break it up, and here's your sort of 7-word hook at the beginning, and then put a space here, and then do a list. Actually, I saw an amazing post the other day from a friend of mine, and he literally wrote it in that style to take the piss out of it. And the engagement was through the roof, obviously, because he was throwing shade at people who are using this particular format to gamify engagement. It's
relatable, yeah. Well, I think I've got something. Oh yeah, so I saw this the other day. I'm not connected with Joe, so I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't mind me putting this up.
Hi, Joe.
But he did put it on LinkedIn. So he got he's basically he was rejected by a client because they ran his proposal through an AI detector and said, you've used AI to write this. And
brilliant.
So I don't know, like, how do you feel about that? I mean, he kind of put the raw input in, and he kind of mushed it up with AI a bit, but. And it's a proposal. It's not. He's not getting paid to do it. And he's saying, it now takes me 20 minutes. Used to take me a week. So, unlike the marketing manager who rejected my proposal, I don't get paid just for showing up every day. So I thought,
it's a really interesting one, because more and more RFPs and tenders that I'm seeing out there in the marketplace are obviously written with AI in mind. And there are actually some that have now started to announce we will be using AI to assess part of this.
Yeah.
So in the same way that, if you think back in the day when people used to apply for jobs and you'd have to like write your CV in a particular way because you knew that it was just going to be trawled through and looking for key terms, and only if they could find the key terms would it then get in front of a person. So it's a really difficult one. So I think, we're trying to play the game, and, you got some people playing chess and the other playing snakes and ladders. So we can't keep up with it. But yeah, there are so many businesses out there that are using AI to write their briefs. And so agencies are now in return using AI to write their proposals.
Yeah,
and
they're writing the briefs. Yeah.
Yeah, and then other people are then using AI to mark those proposals. So for them to turn around and say, "Oh, we can see that you used AI," it's like, well, yeah, so have you.
Yeah. Oh. Another way people are kind of getting caught out by technology like this is AI note takers, because what people don't realize, and a few agencies have had quite. I'm laughing because it's just, I don't know. I like this. I like the stories, but I don't like them. They've had a few HR problems where they've not realised that the meeting notes are sent to everyone on the call. So, and you can see what happens before you join or after you leave. So if you have to leave early for an appointment, then people are speculating about what that appointment was, and very, very bad stuff.
Yeah, because we use AI note takers in our agency as well, and the amount of times where somebody isn't coming to the call, but then their note taker has turned up in the lobby like a little grass.
To see what you guys are talking about.
Just there like, And it's funny because actually one of the things I like to do when there's an AI note taker and there's someone who's not in the meeting, I quite like to just start going off on a really mental tangent so that then their notes look unhinged. So when they haven't been in the meeting, they're like, what? Why were they talking about soup for half an hour? And it is really difficult because you can't always remember. And this is the thing, is that meetings, sometimes if somebody didn't turn up to a meeting and you maybe needed to address something about the fact that they weren't at the meeting, you can't really now because the AI note takers are going to just put the minutes out to everyone.
Yeah, you can't
be so aware.
Yeah. What was the other thing I was going to talk about? Oh yeah, so there's some kind of funny stories that people have been talking about in our community, really. So somebody you know how clients never have anything, they don't know what you do, right? I don't know why that is, but so this is a good thing for your pitch tomorrow because they fundamentally, unless you're really super explicit, they will not have any clue what you do.
Yeah.
But someone was saying the other day that they went to and they wanted me to anonymize this, so I have to be careful. But they won an award for like International PR Agency of the Year, and they took a client to that awards ceremony, and they had a great night, got pissed and stuff. And then about 9 or 10 months later, the client she rings up and says, "Do you know any good PR agencies?" And he's like, "Do you remember when we were at when we were posing with the trophy together? Do you remember?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, do you want a brief?" But I don't know why they never can remember all the stuff you do.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is as well that agencies don't necessarily always make it really explicit. How many agency websites do we see that you go on their homepage and it says, "We transform experiences by actualizing the digital landscape"? Brilliant. Okay, cool. What do you actually do? Do you build websites? Are you a PPC agency? I don't actually know what you do. And you have to really trawl through, and then you go into the case studies. And sometimes even then the case studies, they talk about the outcomes and the outputs and the value they delivered. But you're like, okay, but what did you actually do? I used to work at a company that was a support agency, effectively did 24/7 support, and we used to clean up at expos, the good old face-to-face ones. You get the booth and you're wearing all your matching polo shirts and you're chatting to people, and we used to get people come over to us and say, thank goodness, like, because our signage used to just say the out of hours support people. That was it. It didn't say anything else, whereas everyone else's signs were saying, like transforming cloud difficulties, and not actually saying what they do. And I think that we do fall foul of this because we in agency land, we're just so used to it. In the same way we're talking about like AI, you use AI so much, you start talking like AI. You've been in agency so long, you just start talking in agency tropes. You don't actually say, we build websites or we do PPC. Everyone's so busy talking about like the cool conceptual stuff that if a client looked at our website, most of the time they'd just go, yeah, I mean, it looks nice, but what do you do?
Yeah, if you put if you actually write what you do on the website, people will think it's draft copy. That's just not been through the committee yet.
Yeah.
And there's few things less productive than a group of people trying to write a sentence, and that's where all that stuff comes from.
Yeah. That's my favourite phrase. So it's a camel is a horse designed by committee.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You should use that in a pitch tomorrow.
Maybe I should.
I'd like that on a slide.
Just open with it.
Yeah. And then just walk out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's always a good way to kind of tee that up as well, to then be, position yourself as the benevolent dictator. So you say, a camel is a horse designed by committee. So moving forward, I will be making all the decisions.
Oh, good.
It's good,
yes.
isn't it?
That'll put them in their place.
That will put them in their place. I don't know if they'd really vibe with it, but
yeah,
might give it a go.
Yeah, should we talk about you for a bit? Because you told me the other week, you said I've been to the clinic. And
oh my goodness, that's a soundbite.
But I knew because I knew straight away what you were going to say. Well, there's a couple of other things it could mean, but yeah, tell us about that. If you're okay to talk about it.
Absolutely. So I have recently, and don't worry, this is not going to be this is not now part of my personal brand, by the way. But I went to the doctors and I have been diagnosed with combined ADHD. I know, shock horror, like plot twist of the century. But yeah, I'd I've been sort of struggling with being able to focus on things, and as you can probably tell, I mean, basically, so combined means that you've got both. So you're both hyperactive and inattentive. Great.
Is that the bad one?
I mean, it's basically like I am constantly hyper, and I also forget what I'm doing as I'm doing it.
Right.
It's stunning. But yeah, I've always felt that it was quite a difficult thing for me, and I just always thought that, okay, well, this is just life, and people just find things really difficult, and people go into this executive dysfunction, and that's just the human experience. And then the more people I was speaking to, and I think as I've got older and, you know, in my career, I've become more senior, I masked it a lot when I was younger because I just thought, oh, if you show weakness, then you're not going to get the promotion. People won't see you as senior. People won't see. But now I'm in that position and I'm able to take a step back and talk about it a bit more. I've actually realised a lot of it isn't the normal experience, although we are kind of in a bit of an echo chamber within the agency scene.
Right. Well, firstly, I think you're brave to talk about this because nobody talks about their ADHD.
Well, I mean, everyone does.
I know. But yeah, I mean, when you said that, I thought, oh no, they've got Becky as well. But what do you? It is kind of obvious, I suppose. Mm. But what kind of brought you to that? I'm going to actually go to the doctors about it. What kind of got you to that point?
Well, when I was a small wee bairn, I struggled with it quite a lot, and I went to my doctors and was talking about my concentration and that I found it really difficult to follow through with things and to stick at things. And the only time I was any good at anything was exams, or, you know, like even at sports day, anything that was like endurance that I had to do for more than 10 to 12 seconds. I was like, ugh.
How old? When?
I was 10, 11 at the time, and I went to the doctors and I was like, I just can't focus. I can't do this. My brain is full and I just don't really know where I'm going and how I'm dealing with it all. And anyway,
you're a high agency child.
I was a high agency child, but the problem is I was also a high performing child, and so they wrote me off with anxiety, and they just went, okay, nice one. You're anxious. I went,
right, because you were doing fine. I
was doing fine academically.
Okay.
And then, you know, I think, like I said, the thing that really prompted me to do it in later years is that the more people I talk to now, and because I'm able to be vulnerable with people now and able to talk around like actually what my real lived experience is, as opposed to the veneer and the gloss of like, yeah, I mean, I'm busy, but isn't everyone? Oh, I mean, my life is crazy, but isn't everyone's? Now I'm actually able to sit down with people and talk to them and be like, you know, well, I feel like this. And people go, yeah, that's not actually a normal thing. And I think that's the thing, is I've been able to show vulnerability now. And I think, you know, what I was saying earlier, I think it's because I've got to the point in my career where the people that I surround myself with, I really respect and admire. But, you know, over the years, whereas I was sort of lower down in my career, I felt like if I said this in front of other people, they'd just be like, oh, that's just, oh, bless you.
What's an example of something that you think is hard, that you don't think it's hard for other people? And you didn't realise wasn't normal?
So just the fact that just trying to get started on tasks, that was like the classic one. So, you know, for example, you've got a big proposal due and you've got 4 weeks to do it. And I go, excellent. And I will sit down 4 weeks before and I will look at the thing, keep looking at the thing, look at the thing some more, tidy my desk because the clutter on my desk is just too noisy. Then look at the things and then I go, okay, now I'm thirsty. Then I'll go and make a drink. And then as I go down into the kitchen, I go, ooh, I need to put the washing machine on. And then I put the washing machine on. And then I go back upstairs and I go, hang on, what was I doing? And then before I know it, 4 weeks has passed and I'm like, fuck, I've got to do the proposal. I haven't started this.
But you don't think that's everyone?
No,
everyone.
Apparently it's not. But like, again, you would say this because you run a business called Agency Hackers. And so the reason I said earlier about the echo chamber is agencies in general, we are addicted to the last minute, you know, the client wants changes yesterday. We've got to do a pitch tomorrow. People who gravitate towards agency life tend to be the people who thrive on like almost cortisol, like stress almost sustains them. If they didn't want that in their life, they would have gone and worked in a client-side role where it's like, this is your job, you have to market this bit of thing, or you need to do this job in this thing. And you can do that for 25 years and get a nice pension and be gone with it. But people who gravitate towards agency, they are just a little bit wired for chaos. And as a result, That's why when you're like, that's just everyone. It's like, yeah, you literally run a business called Agency Hackers. Everyone you surround yourself with already sort of thrives in this chaos. So you're going to probably see there's a higher percentage of people who gravitate towards that a little bit more, probably.
I guess because, I don't really know. I don't really know many people who are not in the media, but the people you see on the train who, have a lanyard on and they've got the Brompton bicycle.
Oh, yeah.
And, they read the Metro and maybe do the crossword in it.
Yeah.
Maybe they can just start something and just finish it.
Yeah. Or the bros in a blue Patagonia gilet. They, like, if you talk to those guys, the fin bros, the finance guys, you speak to them and you're like, oh yeah, no, I started 87 things and I completed half of a thing. And they're like, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, they're not, the people in the kind of 3/4 length, Willis top or whatever, who kind of like drinking Guinness at the Devonshire.
I do like drinking Guinness at the Devonshire, so don't slate that. Don't take that away from me. I do like
Guinness
at the Devonshire.
I'm trying to paint create a character we can then abuse. But
yeah, we can abuse them, but hands off the Devonshire. I like it.
Okay, but they think, but people like that, like sort of normies, they're not worried if the thing they do is rubbish because they're almost like they're not a perfectionist. I don't know. Maybe there's something about we want it to be good, so we don't start it. And because I don't want to get on the sort of. I think the ADHD train is full, so I'm not gonna.
Full.
I'm not gonna. There's no room, but you have to reserve. But I can definitely relate to that. I think. Yeah. So do you think? Are you gonna do were you like suddenly everything makes sense?
I mean, it's interesting because I think that I've always felt it and I've always known it. And then what's even funnier is I've got older. My friend circles have not grown or shrunk, but definitely changed shape over the years. And the new friends that I've made and the people that have stayed closer to me all tend to be a little bit spicy. Mm-hmm. And so again, I've kind of created my own echo chamber. But then so it almost felt like the normal for me because all my friends are all just like, well, that's just life. But deep down, I've always felt like there was something, and I've always been a bit like, well, is it this or is it just, am I just tired? Do I just like being busy? Do I just enjoy stress? Like maybe I'm just wired to enjoy stress. So I've always kind of had that in the back of my mind, and actually like leading up to like going through all of the process with the doctors and having the diagnosis put in front of me, there was something kind of relieving about it almost, because it was like, okay, so turns out there is a thing that is fundamentally like different with my wiring, and there are ways that I can actually combat this. Because I think if the doctor had said to me, no, you just like being busy and you just enjoy stress and chaos and this is your life, then I'd just be like, cool, this is now just something I have to deal with. And like maybe over the years, when I have cocked things up, it's because I've just been shit. So it was quite nice to be like, oh, okay, this now has a thing associated to it. And so as a result, the devil you're dancing with.
And you said it was like straight away that they just said you went in there and they just like threw these pills at you or whatever. Like, yeah. They were quite certain.
Oh yeah. I mean, so you still have to go through a particular process, and so you have your initial consultation. You then get referred to a specialist. The specialist sort of does a first round of like assessment. You've got to send in things like school reports as well. So you email them over, so they look to see if these patterns are patterns of behaviour. Are they a result of something that has been present since childhood?
They go back to your school reports.
Yeah, if you've got them, and luckily I have them because my mum, one of those classic boomer mums that like everything's in the attic, everything's like, oh, I've got this crisp packet that you had when you really enjoyed these crisps in 1994. Do you want to take it home with you? No. But luckily she kept all my school reports. Wow. And so I was able to go through and I sent them that, and everything from, and mine go back to 1992. And it all says the same thing. Like, she struggles to concentrate. She's very chatty. Like, she's got a lot of potential. If only she applied herself. She's disorganised. She turns up to class without her books. She always loses her homework. So it was all of this stuff, like from 1992, and it was just all the way through. And it actually made me quite emotional because I saw what some of the teachers would, back in the day, and they would berate me and they would say, Rebecca has a lot of potential if only she applied herself, if only she wasn't lazy, if only she wasn't, and actually some of the words were quite barbed. And when I went back through these reports, looking at it through this lens, and I did actually break down a bit. I was like, bloody hell, like this poor like 8-9-year-old girl who's just trying her best. And I would always get great exam results at the end of the year, but my reports all said the same thing. It was just actually just needs to try harder. But yeah, so you have to go through all of that, and then they have to look at it all. But yeah, every time I went in for any of the appointments, so all 3 of them, it was with a different person as well. So it can't just be like one person going like, yeah, you're fine. They all within minutes were like, yeah, I can see why you've got in touch. Like all of them. And yeah, they
well done.
Yeah. So it's been a really interesting journey. But yeah, don't worry, this isn't going to be my thing. I'm not going to be branding myself around it.
It's not going to be
It's not going to be on LinkedIn all the time. Don't worry.
Are you going to at least put it in your profile?
Absolutely not. No.
You're going to put a little chili in.
No, I'm not.
Okay. No, but well done. I mean, I know I'm slightly taking the piss, but it's very, it's great that you did that. I mean, I will put off going to the doctor. Like, it would take missing a leg for me to go to the doctor, but I'm very, that's because I'm just worse, but that's good that you did that, and I feel like I'm getting autism right now because I can't complete my sentence. No, but I'm that's very impressive. What else have we got to talk about? What's kind of going on with agency hackers? It's just such a crazy time at the moment. We have. Do you ever watch that documentary on the fire festival?
Yes, where someone had to suck someone off the water.
I was going to say they had no tents, but that also happened.
One.
Yeah,
is this what Ibiza's going to be like?
they always there's a bit in there. There's a bit in the documentary where it says, "Why were you still selling tickets to this when you knew there was no food, there was no toilets, there was nowhere for people to stay?" And someone who's working on it said, "Well, like any event I've ever worked on has felt like that in like a week before."
Yeah.
And we are doing so many events at the moment. I just feel like that all the time. I feel like any one of them could be a fire festival. That's like, it's just terrifying. Like we've got an event in New York 2 weeks yesterday, and we don't have enough people coming. Mm-hmm. We've got I just decided to do a comedy night in another country as well.
Yeah.
We don't have like all the we don't have an MC for that. There's like, so people will ask me things like, how's it going? Or how's that coming on? And I just don't want to, I don't want to even think about that because my time for worrying about that is tomorrow.
You've had to compartmentalize your worry.
You can't panic about everything at the same time.
Because you'd just be in a constant state of panic. Particularly as well, you've chosen the events life in a lot of it. So that comes with all of the stresses of Fire Festival, right? It's people, it's making sure that they turn up on time, the logistics on the day, venue headaches, all sorts. I mean, when we've had it before in Ibiza where, we had that, remember the boat trip, and then like last minute we had to reschedule it, and then it was like you had to find a new venue for like 200 people, just like that, because it was a bit choppy at sea.
Yeah.
So I mean, you've chosen this life again. You've gravitated towards chaos.
I know.
No sympathy for you.
But do you know what I want to do? Every time that I have these problems, I just actually want to retreat and just do like like sort of programming stuff, because a lot of our business depends on like workflows and automations, and so I kind of just want to retreat and just make something that's perfect.
Just go and tinker.
It doesn't involve other people. It just involves robots. By the way, every time I fill in one of these ADHD things online, it crashes. Like it just it just goes it goes to 11. It's very
brilliant.
So yeah. What have you got going on at the moment? Is it a busy time because you're going up to Manchester for this this thing? What else have you got going on?
Absolutely. I mean, it's just been pitching for the first part of the year, and a lot of like I said at the beginning, a lot of the things that people pushed into the new year has now been picked back up again. So, and everyone that I'm speaking to in every agency, there seems to be this sort of hum of activity. It feels busy. It feels on that knife edge. I mean, I genuinely feel, and I think another reason that, I was sort of prompted to pursue this with the doctors and keep pushing was that I just always feel, and now more so than ever, like I'm running downhill. But you know when you're a kid and you run downhill and your feet start going too fast and you're like, oh, I'm gonna fall over any minute now, and it almost feels like that. It's just there's just constant stuff and things and events and got to be here, got to be there, got to do this proposal, got to do this pitch. New business is always like that anyway. But I definitely noticed. I think last year I noticed everything slow down and stop just before the budget was announced, and so clients just held back all their proposals, held back all their plans. And then the budgets were announced, and then sort of everyone went, oh, okay. And then they turned business back on again. But as a result, because they stalled it for 5-6 weeks in the lead up to it, everything then became really urgent. And it almost hasn't stopped since then, apart from, the 2 weeks that we got off at Christmas. That was it.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, what else am I up to?
Because you guys seem to be doing pretty well. Like, you're a very well-run business. Because you are, just for anyone who doesn't read the stuff under the podcast, you're the chief commercial officer of Hewitt Matthews Group, and yeah, you guys kind of see, you seem very professional. It's a very well-oiled machine, and you know what you're doing. You got a great team, and but almost can't tell by looking at a business how well it's doing. It's weird. Like some people, like, it's been a terrible year. Some people who are like a one-man band operating out of a hot tub in like Merthyr Tydfil or something. Like, we've got one of them.
So niche.
Yeah, I'm thinking of one person in particular. They're just smashing it, but you almost can't tell. I wonder what
I mean, this is the thing that I've realised in my career as well, is that I remember when I was starting out and I was 18 years old, and I used to look up at people who had fancy job titles and expensive cars and well-fitted suits, and I just used to think, wow, they've got their shit together. They know what they're doing. They really are like, one day I'll be one of those people. And I've just realised that as I've got closer to being one of those people, no one really knows what they're doing. We're all just like 3 kids in a trench coat pretending to be an adult. Like, that's what I've always said, is that like it doesn't matter how well or bad your business is doing. Like, we're all just human beings, and like most of us, and particularly like our generation of that, like the elder millennial generation, where like we're just babies. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean you want me to come up with a solution? I don't know what I'm doing, surely. But like, that's the thing, is it's like when you realise, you have that realization, you go, oh wait, when I was a kid and I was looking up to all of these people in their suits and looking all important and like they've got their lives together, they were all just going like, don't know. And yeah, I think that's all we can ever hope for. I think if you make decisions, if you use some intelligence, if you're trying to do the best thing, you're trying to be a good person, that's all you can really hope for. But yeah, I think we try really hard to make sure that the business underneath is well run, and that the processes are good, and that the people are supported. Even then, there is still an element of being like, something comes up and it's something that hasn't happened to us before, and we all just sort of look at each other and go, like, what do we? Yeah, what do we do?
Yeah. Well, this is what I mean. When people come to agency board, a lot of the time, they actually already know the answer before they ask the question, because in agency board, people sit around and everyone can bring a challenge, and it's chaired by somebody. And we had one person who they were worried about. They've got this client that doesn't make them any money, but they're friends with the client. So he they already knew that they should not be working with this client, but it just took them to bring it to this board, for everyone to tell them not to. So people often solve their own problems. And another funny one we had recently was this person came to the board and they said, I don't really know what to focus on as the leader. So this month on my to-do list is we're sorting out the fire policy, and we're sorting out the kind of just the I think we need a sexual harassment policy, because we're this size, and I need to make sure renegotiate our insurance, because I don't want to get sued for not having enough public liability insurance. And so I'm going to spend a day working out whether it should be 1 million coverage or 5 million coverage. And but like everyone kind of was looking at each other and going, you don't need to do it. You're not big enough to worry about any of that. You know, you're at your size, I think it was below 10 people. You need to focus on new business, and the sales will solve a lot of these problems.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just funny the kind of things that people worry about and think about are so all over the map.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what, it is true that you just I have to remind myself this, and you know, somebody who comes from a sales background, that you can get bogged down in the busy work because it feels safe, it feels comfortable, it feels like, okay, well, you know, and actually you said it earlier, you know, when things all feel a bit hectic, the thing that you want to do is squirrel yourself away and do the thing that's like, you know, that you can completely control, and that you have like a nice output at the end of it, you know, and it's that sort of stuff that when it gets really, really busy, when it gets really hectic, when you don't really know where to start, and you get that like moment of like, I'm so overwhelmed with everything, then you go, I'm going to update the fire policy because it is something that needs to be done, but it's probably not that urgent, but it's important, so I'm going to go and do it. And in the same way that, you know, when I sit down and I've got a massive proposal to write that's going to win us loads of money, and I go, I'm going to tidy my desk. And I think we all kind of have that like in us, where we feel like we have to do. Sometimes you just do the busy work that sits behind it because it's a bit more comfortable. But like, I sometimes have to stop myself from doing it and go, you know what, just go back to basics. Just go and sell, because exactly that. You sell more. If you have more profit in the business, if you've got more money coming in, you can hire the people to do the stuff that you shouldn't be troubling yourself with. You can afford to bring in better people, more people, and do more stuff that you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah. This guy told me a story about going to work for an agency. He was freelancing at an agency, and he went in, and they were going to work on some copy and some like campaigns, but he got there and it was chaos, and like this was in the days of fax machine. Like the fax machine was broken. You know, the internet was down. The landlord of the office was coming in because the rent hadn't been paid or something, and he was like. And then the agency owner's office had like 3 people in it, one of whom was his mistress, you know, all that haranguing him. And he thought, well, we're not going to get any work done today, so we'll just kind of, you know, he's getting ready to leave. But he ushered everyone out of the office and sat them down and kind of almost like locked the door. And they spent the day kind of bringing in money, because that was the most like important thing at that time. And then he said, you know, I'll never forget, they opened the office at the end, and everything was smooth. You know, the landlord had gone, and the fax machine was working again. It was humming away, and everyone was like busy. All the problems had solved themselves, but they'd spent the day working on like bringing in the money. And I think that I always try and think about that. What like got all these little problems, but fundamentally, if we're working on the bit that brings in the money, then that is
exactly, that's the most important thing. That's why any of us are in business. You know, it's to bring in the money, and it is really difficult to lose sight of that. Though I think that's the thing, is that like. Because it is really easy to get distracted when something feels like it's on fire, and you go, oh, I need to sort out this thing. And you know what, remote working's helped a lot with that, because, you know, a lot of those problems, it was like, I remember I used to work in a call centre, and when we were all in the office, and working from home really wasn't a thing. We all had laptops that went into docking stations, but we never took the laptops home. Like, it was just because it was cheaper to buy a load of laptops than have those massive big whirring machines. And we had one day where the phone lines in our building went down, or something like the internet in our building went down, and it was just panic. Everyone was running, and you know, we did outbound telesales. Our entire business was just lead generation and like sales for other businesses, and like it took about 2 hours of everyone running around on fire trying to think about the thing, and then we all ended up having to go home, and and it was like, okay, everyone use their mobiles to try and make calls. If you're UK based, if you're if you're calling overseas, here's like a voice over IP account that you can make calls through your laptop, but everyone needs to go home and spend the afternoon working from home. And it was just like unheard of. And we were like, but it was just, it disrupted everything so much.
There'll be a day when I honestly believe there'll be a day when you can't get access to anything. And it might be like someone will hack Gmail or whatever, and your stuff will go down, or someone will lose the password, or you'll be ransomware or whatever. Yeah. And you might not be able to get it for a few hours, or a few days, or you might never get it back.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that'll happen. What I really, every year, I think we'll just have a day working on disaster recovery, where we just download all the email addresses and like bury them in my garden on a hard drive in a lead box. And of course it never happens. Should we just finish by talking about the Ibiza event, which obviously you're a big part of?
I am.
So I was talking about things I'm worried about. For the first year, this is actually not one of them.
Brilliant.
Because I think we're almost on track to sell it out. We've got we're working with the European Agency Awards. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that. That's great.
Yeah. So there's going to be an awards ceremony the day before. So that is looking good. And yeah, what are you? Because you're obviously a big part of that. You are, you don't just you run the clubbing WhatsApp group, but you don't just. I should say you don't just do that. You're obviously a big part of the main conference as well, and you're very very well liked person during the daytime as well as the nighttime. But yeah, what are you looking forward to there?
So I really love the fact that we're going to be returning to the old town.
Yeah.
And keeping it a bit hustly, a bit bustly. I think we spoke about it last time that I think keeping it small and concentrated, like the old the Robinson squash drops. It's like concentrated flavour is a bit more punchy than trying to dilute it too much.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy that we're sort of keeping it at a small size, because if I think about it, the last 3 years it's been running, and when I've been going, the friendships that I've been able to make because of the size of it, it's like there's enough people that you can make new friends each time, but not so many that you just feel daunted that you only stick to the people that you know.
Yeah.
I think that I love the size of it. I'm looking forward to the talks. Obviously the club night crew will be in full force. I know you always tell me off as well, so you do often tell me off because you're like, you can do the last night, and I'm like, no, we go big every night.
Oh yeah, people going out on the day one.
I know it gives you a headache. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. There's some really interesting. I think there's going to be some interesting talks this year as well. Have you announced the headliner yet?
No, we've got Grace Miller, who is Stephen Bartlett's head of failure.
Brilliant.
But then, I mean, Grace is great, and she's got a platform in her own right, so we'll have her on. I was a bit worried that because everyone started hating Stephen Bartlett, like in the press and stuff, and but we're still going to have her. She's great. And,
yeah, definitely.
but she runs all the experiments for like Flight Story in their company, and they give a trophy to people who try stuff, and even if it doesn't work. So I think people fetishize failure a little bit sometimes. Like I would just rather stuff didn't go wrong. But she's very interesting. So and a lot of the theme of it is dealing with uncertainty, because I think uncertainty is just here to stay. Like the idea of having a 3-year plan is quite difficult. So that's a big theme. That
would be really exciting. And yeah, you talk about like failure, and it's interesting because we were at an event. Actually, I think you were there as well. And we had to talk about like our biggest failures in our career. Was it Podge?
Oh yeah.
And everyone had to submit like their big. It was Glitchmas, wasn't it? So we all had to talk about. And I love Podge, by the way. But we had to talk about like the biggest cock-ups in our career, because obviously that's what kind of defines you. Failure is almost what defines you, right? Mm-hmm. But I really struggled because I think I'm a bit like you. I'd rather just like I've often, and sometimes maybe at the to the detriment of progress, I've sometimes been so reluctant to make the big mistakes that maybe I haven't pushed myself enough. Because I do, like I'm a little bit frightened of making mistakes. So I had to sit there and like it was like, let's write your biggest mistakes, and all of these other people were like writing in clangers. They were brilliant, and mine was just like, I once pushed the wrong button in the CRM.
Well, if you press the wrong button, that could be a big one.
Yeah, sometimes it can be catastrophic. But.
Yeah, I've just got to look at what domain names I own, because those are all the failed things that I said I was going to do and then didn't, and they're all failed projects.
Yeah, which ones do you want to talk about? What failed projects have we got? What businesses have you deprived us of over the years?
A nightclub for children, something called Secret Steakhouse, where you would go to different restaurants and you would change them in the daytime to be something else, and you would have like Wagyu steak, and I didn't know anything about steak, and don't even particularly like steak, but I just thought it was a cool entrepreneurial idea. And,
I love that.
but most of these, I got like really far with them and then just like got bored. And I was like, no, this is shit.
Funny that.
Let's not do it. Yeah. But one of them, I keep renewing this every year, is open the kimono.
I mean, that sounds a bit like flashy. That's what they.
Well, apparently it's kind of people don't like using the word because I don't know, it's a cultural appropriation or something.
Yeah.
But I might when businesses when people are like merging businesses and they want to open their books, they'll say, yeah, okay, we'll open kimono. So I imagine these like two guys in a room opening the kimono, and that's like my mental picture of that. And there's something, I don't know why I have that domain, but I just... Brilliant.
I quite like the idea of nightclub for kids, though, because, I mean, there is actually a thing. So I take my children to a nightclub for kids. I take them to Ravertots.
Yeah.
So that's and it's huge.
I know. Well, all these ideas got, I mean, not to be like, oh, I had the idea because I didn't do anything with it. So, you know, I'm an idiot. But yeah, like they are quite big now. That's frustrating sometimes because I have these ideas before I started agency because I had loads of ideas and I'd put them into practice a little bit. I get the website, I get the logo. I'd spend ages like making it look good on the mobile, and then then I'd be like, nah, this is rubbish. No one's going to like this, and then I talk myself out of it. That's really dumb. And agency hackers was just the one thing that
stuck.
Yeah.
Do you know what though? I had an idea ages ago, and it's kind of similar to the nightclub for kids, and it's also kind of a bit networky. But I remember when I just had my first baby and like trying to get back into networking and then trying to find childcare to sit around it, and I was like, oh my god, like why do they not have like networking creche things? So it's like it's a nice creche, but then you go and like network with other parents and I was like, I really loved it as an idea, but I think I was so sleep deprived because obviously I had a newborn. I never really ran with it, but like, so if anyone wants to, if hackers, you want to do like networking creches, it's not really a catchy name.
I'm thinking of the insurance problem because when I found out about this, when I researched this nightclub for kids, Funky Bugs it was called.
Funky Bugs, that's cute.
Funky Bugs, yeah. I spoke to, there used to be Pasha London, and I spoke to them, they were like, no, we did it once and we'll never do it again because someone found a pill on the floor. And and there was like, we tried to clean it so well, we had like double swept, but it just, so that's why they didn't do it. And I don't know, I felt, okay, this is a bad idea.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how they do it with Ravertots then, because Ravertots, they do it in loads of different places, and I've been to a few of them. They're brilliant, but
yeah, maybe people don't take pills anymore. Like, because that was at the time I was thinking of this, that was very much the vibe. But
that was the thing.
Yeah, maybe the world has changed. Anyway, well, we better leave it there. But yeah, good luck with your pitch tomorrow. You're going to tell us about it next time. Yeah,
absolutely. I look forward to it.
Yeah,
fingers crossed we win.
Yeah, and we should think if we're going to have guests on. But I think they should be invite only.
Yeah.
And I think the bar should be very high.
Yeah. So or we could just bring in the people that we've brought up their LinkedIn posts and like sit them in a chair and ask them what possessed them to write it.
Yeah.
Like roast the post in real life.
Joe Gilbert, you're on our list.
You're on our list.
Oh, he's a nice guy. Cool. All right. Good.
Lovely.
See you next time.